Welcome, 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 welcome on in, you all.
Hey, hey.
Today is, it's a different day, but we bounce around. Today is pouring it out. We pouring it out with she and tea.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
y'all.
And we have our favorite beverages, I'm going to say, because it might not be a cocktail. Today, mine is it's a lemon tea mixed with honey and I'm still doing this cleansing stuff, so
Oh, how's that working out for you?
it's good. I i i feel better. I feel like the toxins are moving. I hope. I mean, I'm moving more, if that makes sense. So that's a good thing. I'm doing it twice a day. I'm trying to. Supposed to do it morning and night. Sometimes I don't do it, but I'm almost finished with it. Then I'll go into the 7-day cleanse.
Mm.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
So it's a 7-day cleanse, like this one, just a 7-day.
The 7-day cleanse is, hold on one second. Let me
Okay.
let me see what it say here. All right. So, oh, this is a maintenance cleanse. So the seven
Oh,
day is a maintenance cleanse. A 7-day cleanse to maintain your living and body the same way you would clean and change the oil in your car. You need to do the same for your body. So maybe I won't take this right after this cleanse because I'm already, well, this is the detox cleanse. So this says it works great for swelling, inflammation, mucus, and detoxing the liver, blood, kidneys, major organs, drains lymph nodes. Oh, that makes sense why my nose been running. And removes calcification from soft tissue. Yeah,
so this is the same thing you got from your lady?
yeah, from the lady.
Mm.
And I think I'm gonna take this later. I don't think I'm gonna take this right now. Maybe I should see. I think I'm supposed to take it after. I don't know. I'm gonna have to reach out to her and see. Do I go straight into a maintenance cleanse?
Or do you hold on for a little bit?
Right. Because I'm already cleansing.
Right. It seems like the maintenance cleanse will come down the line. Like,
Yeah.
I need a little tune up.
So I'm gonna have to ask her, because I thought she said right after, but I'm gonna have to ask her how does it go.
Okay.
Well, how has it been your first 2 weeks, right?
Uh,
Working?
oh yeah, well I'm off this week,
Oh, this is actually
working.
the second week.
Yeah, this would have been, if I would have been there, it would have been my second week. Actually, it would have been my third week because last week was my second week. But this would have been, so I don't have to go back now until I think like the first week of May.
Oh, you just did 2 weeks?
So yeah, it's just because they do this program called Building Bulldogs.
Okay.
So I'm still like acting as a sub for her, but not like a in-house sub. I only go in there when they need me to do presentations.
Oh, but is this gonna be your permanent position?
I don't know. We got to see if she comes back to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got to see if she comes back to work because she's on maternity leave right now.
Gotcha. Which she gets 3 months, right?
She, I don't know, child. I've been out of that era of life. I don't even do no research on what that means anymore because I ain't even trying to find out. Listen,
Right.
I don't know. Listen. So I don't know how long they get. I know when I had Kaden, I was out for. I had her in November. I didn't go back to work until February. Yeah, so 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I think. Well, it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't know. I'm drinking me some good old water
Okay, okay. In your
today.
mama cup.
Yeah, my cup, my
Mm-hmm.
Bucky's cup. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had a really, that was a really good experience. I really um enjoyed that. And I'm glad I didn't just hop right into it, right? I'm glad that I just didn't say, oh, I have my degree in counseling, now I want to go be a counselor. I'm glad the steps that took place to get me where I am. Like, I'm glad that I got my degree. I'm glad that, COVID happened and that I worked some with the girls on James's team. And then I'm glad I then went into substitute teaching and I got an opportunity to really like be exposed to children, and to really see that I love it. So then it was more just like fine tuning and narrowing it down, to what really, really spoke to me and
Mm-hmm.
what really felt good to me. And so, um, yeah, when I was offered this position as a sub, it was like, okay. And when I did it, it was like jackpot.
Yeah. So I had a client yesterday and she is trying to figure out her purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's only done like one job and she's done it for like 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, with you saying what you said and thinking about my life, you have to try things, I think, right? I'm still trying to figure it out. Like some people, maybe they know their purpose from birth. Some people know that when they're young, oh, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be this or that, right? And they
Yeah.
go straight into it. I would say for somebody who doesn't know, try multiple things, right? But know your core stuff. Know the arena where you're good at, right? So the things like you always have like kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah, that's one of the biggest things in trying to find out what you're called to do. Do something that you enjoy. Work in different spaces doing something that you already know and that you are good at naturally.
Mm-hmm. I think too that what I'm realizing is that it's preached more that you should know your purpose than
Mhm.
it's preached. I would say if you did a poll, like out of 100 people, maybe 5 out of those 100 people know, like what you're saying, like will be, I want to be a doctor, I want to do this, I want to do that. But they make it seem like 95 out of those people know that and only five don't. And now you're the one that's wrong because you don't know. I think that and it's so crazy because we talked to Kaden is working out with a professional softball player right now. And she told her yesterday just this. And I was like, wow, that's pretty profound.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, because Kaden is like, I want to be an aerospace engineer. I want to go to this college, and a lot of it's because of us, because it's that, what do you want to do when you grow up? You need to know, you need to
Yeah,
know. And so we told her yesterday, and she was like, girl, keep doing what you're doing. What are you doing right now? You love softball right now. Do what you're doing and know that the path is going to be laid. And you're going to go where the money is. So you don't know where you're going to go, and you don't know what you want to be right now, and that's fine.
I like that, right? Because then it opens her up instead of keeping her stuck to something that maybe is not what she is supposed to do.
Right? Just
Mhm.
because what it's supposed you're supposed to, you're not. And that's what I'm trying to get to now in my life. At that age, putting that type of pressure on kids is
Mhm.
just so wrong.
Mhm.
Like whatever their love in and whatever their passion is, like right now her passion and her love is softball.
Mhm.
It's not even us, like, because man, if it was left up to me, she would be like a cheerleader or something. Like I that's what I would, like I had her in all the dance classes, gymnastics, all of that. Like that was me, and James would have had her playing basketball. So
Mhm.
this is totally Caden's path right here. And we're just walking it with her, you know? And so right now, where should you be because of your love of softball? And we're gonna
Mhm.
make sure
What
that
should you
you're
be
doing that.
doing?
Yeah,
Yep.
what we're not thinking about 6, 7 years from now, you need to be blah blah. No, like that, and she told her, she said, that path is already laid, and when it's time, you will tap into that. Just be like you're saying, just be be where you're passionate about. Like find
Exactly.
passion and stick with that passion, right? And like whatever that looks like at 12 years old.
Mhm.
It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like going to college right now. It doesn't look like majoring in something right now. It looks like going to some workouts, playing ball on the weekends, and making good friendships, lasting relations. That's what it looks like right now. And keeping your voice.
And having fun with it, enjoying
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
Like not putting pressure on yourself, like I got to be good at this. And I just think that a lot of people, a lot of parents do put that pressure on kids, and then kids end up in places that they really don't want to be, right? They end up in college per se, maybe, for example, in college, and they're not necessarily made for college.
I totally agree. It's really just about, because what I was just talking to James about this the other day is what I'm realizing is when you step into your passion, you don't have to tell people what they should and should not do.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're passionate about it, they're gonna just do it. Like it's just gonna happen. And I'm not saying that they don't have to do the work, but what I'm saying is what I'm realizing is you'll know when somebody is not walking in their purpose and their calling because they will be doing a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be doing because they're just not happy. They're not content. But when someone is really walking out their passion and doing what they're supposed to be doing, a lot of times you don't have to tell them like, why are you lazing around, or what, like they're doing whatever they're passionate about. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to like, I mean, at this age I still feel like Kaden has to be kind of pushed just because of her age. But
Mm-hmm.
when she's in it and when she's doing it, she's doing it. She's not like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said something about they'll just be doing it or whatever, but what if they're doing multiple? See, this is what I find my struggle with, because I love multiple things, like, and that's my thing. Like, how do I know that this is it, and sticking in that? That's my thing, because I feel like purpose, well, I think what I'm learning is that purpose can mean different things at different times,
Mhm.
different seasons of your life. But for me, it's narrowing it down to really staying within that realm, whatever it is. So for me, like therapy, right? It has to align with that therapy, and then fashion. It's gonna be somewhere in one of them two things, right? So it can be something on the spectrum way far over here or way far over there. But I still believe that that can be your purpose. It can just change.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what I was referring to with that statement is like when I don't care if you have 10 passions
Hmm.
or 20 or one, when you find something that you're passionate about, that person is less likely to be cheating on their spouse or
Oh yeah,
because they so busy doing what they love to
yeah,
do. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Kids are not really getting in trouble because they are so like locked in. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And yeah, I do believe that God blesses us with multiple talents and gifts. I just really think that it depends on the person, like in your level of capacity. What can you handle? Like
Hmm.
some people can only handle and be passionate about one thing.
Yeah. Well, I've heard certain people talk about you should only be doing one thing. Though it's the one thing that gets you to success and all of that, and I don't believe that. Now, the one thing may have to be the dominant thing, right?
Hmm.
That one thing should be the thing that's what you do on a daily. That's what comes normal to you. That's what you're working on. But it don't mean that that's the only thing you should be doing.
No, I don't. I think that there comes a point just for like organization and like consistency purposes that you may have to, when you're sitting down and you're making a plan, right? You may have to say, okay, this is how I'm going to walk this out. And that might mean that you have to concentrate on one thing in that moment just to make sure that you can get on a consistent path with it. But that doesn't mean that like today you come up with a whole structure about fashion, right? And then tomorrow you come up with a whole structure around therapy. And then you're like, okay, on Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm going to post about fashion. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'll post about, therapy. And then on Fridays, I'll do a little bit of both. Like you can do it. You might
Hmm.
have to like concentrate to try to figure out how you're going to blend them together.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that you only can do one thing, because our pastor talks about this. He looks at the kingdom as like being different streets,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about like 7 streets, and he talks about like health and wellness and all these different things. And he says that some people are blessed to operate, because he is blessed to operate in the business street and also the ministry street.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he talks about all the time. Like, how do you combine those two gifts, and make it profitable for you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because God does give people different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it speaks to your level of maturity, actually, when you can really notice, like, oh wow, I'm not only gifted here, I'm gifted here, and then I'm gifted here. And then it just becomes a matter of, now um how do I make all of this work how it should?
Yeah, that's my struggle, right? Like how to make it profitable.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all of it.
That part. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, how do you monetize it? That's what he's always talking about. And I know
Yeah.
Myron Golden talks about it a lot, like monetizing your gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And like with him, he's a businessman and he's a minister.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses both of those to monetize it. Um, and like for me, I'm like sensory overload, so I just can't see myself doing anything except for therapy with children. That's just it for me,
Gotcha.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then that opens up into, okay, so you can do counseling at school, but then you can open up a private practice and do some things on the side. Like, it's multiple ways that you
It's
can go about
tons. You
it.
could do speaking. You could do all
Right,
kind of things underneath that umbrella.
underneath that one umbrella. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and James, oh my God, James is like, that boy can do pretty much anything. T-shirts, a book cover, like he can do it all, and then he's very good with electronics. It's just his brain is just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what you're saying when you say trying to figure, because that's his main struggle, trying to figure out, okay, I'm over here in like 2 days, like 2 weeks, I might get all these t-shirt orders, and then like for 2 more weeks I don't have anything to do. So how is that really going to profit me if
Mm-hmm.
it's my gift, but it's not? I want to be able to do something like this every day to make money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I get it. And I like one day randomly somebody like, I'll pay you to come hang my TV up. And it's like, okay, well, I know how to do that, but how do I like monetize this if I'm only getting offered like 1 or 2 times?
Well, I think it goes to the marketing piece too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you know if somebody is reaching out to you for that, then other people have need for it. But then it's marketing, it's getting it out there so other people know that that's what you do. Um, and then even like word of mouth and just got all kind of ways, right? But if you're good at it, it can be monetized. It just is figuring
Mm-hmm.
out how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I like what you're doing. Like, I really did like the thrift shop reel that you did,
Mm-hmm.
because I like the fact that you know how to like not always be a therapist.
Oh, that's well for me. Like hands down, I love therapy, and that's my love, right? Like helping people basically heal. That is my gift. But I think also I help people heal through fashion, right? Through learning,
Mm-hmm.
because that makes you feel good too. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you get a better sense of yourself, more confidence. So they kind of work together, but I don't want people to focus on only fashion. I want them to focus on total, mind, body healing and all of that. So yeah, that I'm starting, I'm starting. When I got in there, I was like, oh, let me take my pictures and let me do my videos. And so yeah, I'll get better as I go. I'm just taking it little by little. And I have I'm doing a live next Sunday to sell some of it, right? Like girl, my trunk is full of stuff. I'm like, I got to get rid of some of this stuff. I want to keep it all, but I said right now my bed is got a big pile of stuff. I need the price and stuff. So it's happening, it's just a timing thing and doing what I can where I am, but I'm gonna make it work.
I love that. I mean, you said a lot right then, and some things stood out to me. One thing is, you're right. Fashion is like the key to healing, but a lot of people don't know how to be fashion forward
Hmm.
without spending a lot of money.
Hmm.
So you picking up, and because it is therapy, but
Hmm.
some people will go and spend like $1,000 and be
And
even
then
more stressed out
because you
because
got to pay
now
that bill.
you got to pay the bill, or I got it in the bank, but do you have the money to pay your bills to live with after you buy that? I mean, I really do think that retail therapy is good, but it
Yeah,
can also be just as addictive as like drugs and alcohol.
baby,
Like if you
it's an
don't
addiction.
know, right? Yeah, it is. And some people, that is their thing. That is they don't smoke, they don't drink, they
That's my
shop.
thing. That's my thing, right? Like I have to really reel myself in. So now I kind of like put it on my calendar when I can go shopping, so that helps me to not every day. I literally could shop. I could shop every day. I just love it, you know. But
Uh-huh.
it's not realistic until I start selling the stuff. When I start selling the stuff, then if I want to, I'm using that money.
And you're also teaching people how to shop in a healthy way. So that, yeah, I'm not taking, because see, this is a lot of times what people do. They'll say, I'm not gonna shop anymore, or I'm not gonna drink anymore, I'm not gonna smoke anymore. But
Yeah,
what is your replacement? Like you're being unrealistic. But see,
exactly.
being very realistic with people and saying, like, I know you probably have a problem with shopping. So
Hmm.
I'm not, but the problem is not shopping. The problem is that you don't know how to properly do it.
Hmm.
And so you're like the fashion therapist.
Ooh, that's a good one. Fashion
Yeah,
therapist.
the fashion therapist, because you teach people you're helping people to learn how to shop in a healthy way and heal in a healthy way.
Hmm,
You're providing healing through fashion.
that could work. Hmm.
You're
Fashion
providing
therapist.
healing through, yeah, the fashion therapist. That could be your whole brand, the fashion therapist. And you can have, I don't even know if we should be talking about all this online.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
all your stuff.
Let's save. Yeah. Let's save this part because
Yeah.
you might be onto something. And I didn't. I did do my new logo right, but fashion therapist. Hmm.
You can write books about it, but we'll talk about it later. But anyways, yeah, like I'm really seeing it.
You got me thinking now.
I'm really seeing it.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I didn't print out my stuff. I really need to print it because I got that show in 2 weeks. But hmm, that might work.
You need to write it down.
Yeah, my book is over there.
I'll
Oh,
text it to you. I'm gonna text
nope,
it.
I get it. It's
Okay.
right on the bed. Fashion therapist. Yeah.
And we need to like just brainstorm some ideas around that.
Hmm. The fashion therapist or
Hmm.
just
The
fashion?
fashion
The
therapist. The
fashion.
fashion. You are the fashion therapist.
Mm, okay.
And now that's combining both of your loves.
True. That's why I like it. That's why it's resonating with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll have to go and do another logo and create another name. Create the other name.
Well,
Well,
just build
is
some
the name.
structure around it. Build some structure around it. You know what I'm saying? Like build a good foundation around it and see how all that feels for you. And if you feel like it's really outside of the name, like you got some structure, you got some strategies, you got a system around it, like then you can go forward with it. Cause then it's like, I'm not just making this because I like the name. I really actually like everything that's attached to it. Like
Well,
it is a brand.
yeah, because when I think about on TikTok, well, see, here's another thing, right? Because this whole workout lifestyle is a thing as well, right? So honestly, like I want to do something with that as well, because like I don't know, but it all is therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could like roll it all in there some kind of way, right? I don't want to have all these different logos and different stuff, right? I think that that's what I did in the beginning with working with JDO, like so many different things coming up, right? But if I
Mm-hmm.
could have it all under one, because I don't want to have to do all these different postings. I want it all to flow. So
Mm-hmm.
the workout is a thing. It's a thing because I'm gonna be training people in Florida. I already know that. That's the whole. It ain't the whole goal. The whole goal is healthiness, right? Me to be healthy, but along the way, I know I can help others. With their getting into shape and mindset, the whole mindset, because that's the big piece. With working out is your mindset, um, which has to do with therapy as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think with that is a totally different like venture now. That's I need to open up my own gym eventually, all those kind of things.
Oh, it's gonna be with the whole. I'm gonna have a whole facility.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna have a whole facility. It's gonna be
like a
from
wellness facility.
exactly anything you need. Mind, body is gonna have spiritual stuff where people are gonna come. I'm gonna have a whole like auditorium in there. Just healthy, healthy hut. It's everything's gonna be in there.
So when you talk about that spiritual piece,
Prayer room,
okay, that's what I was gonna ask you. What
library.
approach are you gonna take? Because I don't know if you're watching this show right now, which you probably aren't. You probably haven't even heard of it, but it's actually really good. It's on Netflix. It's called Three Body Problem.
Who?
Three Body Problem.
Three body problem. Mm-mm.
And it's basically where I won't even call it religion. I would say theology and Scientology or science have like combined.
Theology and Scientology,
Or science, like the idea of science.
because they both were separate at once, right? You had Scientology and then religion or
Yeah.
theology.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you have science. Well, I can't say Scientology because Scientology is like its own religion. So
Right.
that's not, I mean,
Science.
science. I'll say
Yeah.
science.
Mhm.
Science and religion or theology have combined. And it's like, so far from what I've listened to and watched, it seems that that's the path that it's taking. And I do not believe that they should be separated. I do believe that they should operate together, but science is so far left sometimes, and so is religion. So it takes some really mature people to get in a room together to make that merge, and it actually means something.
Hmm.
So because that means that when you come in a room like that, you have these scientists and then you have all these theologians. You have to be willing to explore things outside of like,
The box, your normal thinking,
yeah.
only of what you believe.
Yeah, so if you're like a Christian, you have to be willing to explore like Buddhist behaviors and
Hmm.
Hindu behaviors and
Hmm.
like all these things. You have to be willing to Judaism. You have to be willing to understand that some part of what they believe may be tied into your belief system too. And then I think that opens the door to science, because what I'm realizing is that some things in Christianity, when it applies to science, it just don't make sense.
Hmm.
But now if you go and start looking at some of these other beliefs, you're like, oh, okay, I see how that happens. So you can't just study one religion.
I I'm there. I'm there, right? Like metaphysics, like even energy, right? So at one point I didn't believe in that because that Christians don't believe in the energy,
Like yoga and yeah,
but I do believe that, I mean, all of this stuff is a real thing, right?
yeah.
Why do they have to be separated? Now, it can be tricky because you have to know what God is saying on how to bring this together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they work together. Why wouldn't science, and I don't even like to say religion, I say spirituality, go
Hmm.
together, right? Why wouldn't
Oh,
they
they do.
intertwine with each other? Why wouldn't energy, why do we have retrograde and all of these things? They all play a part. So this basically is all things that I'm learning prior to this retreat, right? This is where the journey before because I want to be versed in it. I don't want to just be up there. I want everybody to be able to have a part in this. Any religion, non denomination, atheist, I want you to come because in healing, I believe that all parts will get healed. And whatever that looks like for you, right? It's not for me to impose me because your healing may be totally different than what I need. But as long as, to me, as long as I allow God to impart in me the way that He is supposed to, and everybody else who is going to be up there, presenting, that's what matters. People will get their healing the way they are supposed to get their healing.
And I just had an enlightenment, this past week about when you confine yourself to like a certain belief, then you also confine God.
Mm-hmm.
He's so much bigger
Mm-hmm.
than what we even give him credit for.
Yeah.
You know, like I used to just think about God being like the ruler of earth and heaven and whatever. But no, God is the ruler of the universe.
Of everything. Yeah.
He like owns it all. Like it's all his. And like it just opens your eyes to just see certain things in a different light. Like we on earth don't ever think about the fact that if God is the ruler of the universe, then what makes us think that we're the only people that he's ruling over?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like we're on earth and earth seems so big to us, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like this to God. Like
Or
literally.
a pin drop.
Like just on his radar of things.
The
You
crazy
know,
thing I think about is how does he do all this at once?
once.
All at the same time, but it all worked together. Like when that scripture say, and that's even deeper than just an individual, all things work together. No, he works this whole universe together
The whole
for
universe.
our good because he keeps the sun
Everything.
where it's supposed to be, the moon, the stars, all of that. It all works. It's not just, it's we look at it in a selfish way, like it's all about us.
Yes.
But no, like I be telling him too. I be like, I don't know how you do it, right? And I mean, I couldn't even fathom it in my mind, right? Like how you keep this one and then this one and this one, right? Like how does that, but do your thing, right? Because
Do your thing.
that's who you are.
Because it's beyond us. And it's
Right.
okay to be beyond us. And
Mm-hmm.
like I had all those questions about death and I'm just so clear on it now. Like I don't it's not final. It's totally not like death is not final. It's like death is like a transport or a portal into something else. Like it's like almost like a to me, I feel like it's almost like a graduation or a portal into something like we are in these bodies right now to fulfill
Mm-hmm.
some type of purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
when that purpose is complete, or this is what I'm realizing, because we all have a certain time frame, right? Whether it be 50 years, 2 years, 8 years, 100 years, we all have a time frame that starts the moment that we are born.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you complete your purpose in that time or you not, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gone. And I think that that's has helped me to understand and realize that we all are on some type of we're on a time frame. And whether it is our job as humans
Mm-hmm.
on earth right now, because this is our assignment here on earth, to do whatever it is that you have been created to do in the time frame that you have been created to do it in.
And it goes back to what we started out with, right? Like that's the whole point. That's the whole purpose of trying to find your purpose because you are put here to help somebody else to do
For a
something.
certain time frame.
It's just like God. Mm. When I think about it, so God can do all those things, right? But then he puts us as humans doing all these different things. We're all working together, or we should.
Yes.
If you have and are walking in your purpose, then you are one of those that is being orchestrated, right? It's like you're working your part. And we all have been given a part. Problem is, all of us don't play our part.
All of us, and I think that that's the hardest part, and it makes
Hmm.
it very complicated. And that's the whole purpose of like sin and all that stuff. You know, sin is just a word for disorganization or not being on track, right?
Hmm.
And so like that's the problem. Like you could be on your path and you could be walking your walk and then look to your left and the other person is nowhere near it. And that can become discouraging. That can become, you know, just so you have to I'm very big now on surrounding yourself with people who understand the assignment. Like people who understand like we are here not just to be like just not to just be walking around like what's up. No, we're
Hmm.
here for a reason,
Hmm.
and you need to get to that reason, and you need to walk in that reason because you're not here forever. Nobody is.
But
Your
then I
time
just
is
thought
limited.
about maybe, just maybe, they are in their purpose. Their purpose is trying to find their purpose.
But some
So,
people are not even doing that. Some
well,
people are
a
just
lot of people
literally,
aren't. I know.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
they're
just
waiting on somebody
literally
else to
just,
do it. Yeah.
yeah, they're just, and that's the people I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people who are actually, because I've been on that journey for a while. There is a point in life to where you are on, you're just here and you're just like, I'm here. And then there becomes a point in your life where the light bulb comes on and you're like, no, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, what you do with that when you find that out, that's your choice. That's your
Hmm.
business, as Tabitha would say, or Tab would say, that's your business.
Hmm.
But I just really feel like you have to discover it when it comes that time when you start getting that, oh, I'm here for a reason. And you don't wait around to be like, okay, well, let me just let it drop in my lap. Like you go on a journey, that you have to go on a journey to even find out what you are here for.
Hmm.
And then you go on another journey to walking that out.
Yeah. That walking it out piece. That's the thing, right? Hmm.
Yeah. And I think that what scares me about it all is that because I know that we are on a time frame, the
Hmm.
time is limited. It's almost like, you know, I don't know if you watch those cake shows where they have like a certain amount of time to bake a cake. They got to bake the cake in
Oh
that time.
yeah.
You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's how it is with us. Like, we have a certain amount of time. We don't know, but we have a certain amount of time. And so every day that you get an opportunity to get up, you have to be on the grind. I'm not
Hmm.
saying that you're nervous and you're scared, like, oh my God, today could be it. But you do need to get up with a sense of like, I was granted another day and an opportunity to get closer to my purpose or get better at accomplishing my purpose. And that's what I need to do.
And I think as long as you do that, for me, time is not a thing, right? Like I'm not concerned with when I hit 75, right? Because I think I will have lived to my ultimate purpose, to the fullness of what I am supposed to do. And by 75, I'll be doing who knows what.
You'll be, because what is it? I do like that chart that Freud has where he talks about the different this versus that. It's
Mm-hmm.
something versus regret when you get to that age.
Generativity, like productivity versus kind of just being idle.
Yeah, like
And I
just
look at old
regretting
people.
life,
I don't
you
want to say
know.
old people. I look at
I
older
feel it.
people and I say, I know me. I'm gonna, well, I can't say that, but I do say that. I speak it into existence that I'm gonna always be active, right? Like to me, I'm gonna still be working out and strong and healthy. And like Myron says, you don't have to be old and decrepit in order to die, right? You can die healthy. I mean, I'm gonna die healthy because I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna be still looking good. Um, I'm gonna still be in shape. People ain't gonna know you 75. Yeah,
What?
they not gonna know it, right? Because I feel like part of my purpose now that I'm on this journey is to take care of this body, is to be the best that I can be in all areas, right? So I'm really trying to work on now, not trying, I'm working on every aspect, financial, spiritual, mental, every aspect plays a role. And that can be, it can be tough because sometimes I feel like it's not enough time in the day because I'm like, okay, now I'm trying to do this part, oh, now I'm working out. So it's just finding balance for everything, every piece of importance. And every day may not get to it, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
just strive for that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing in preparation for this whole retreat.
So it wasn't Freud. Freud has his own. He's the anal.
Erickson.
It's Erickson. So
Hmm.
I always get them confused. So and it's just talking about pretty much everything we're defining, like from a zero to about um 29.
Hmm.
It's like self exploration.
Discovery. Yep.
It's discovery,
Hmm.
and then from like 19, I mean from like 30 to like 60, that's when you have discovered everything, and now you're like implementing. Now I'm like
Has to be
doing all
purpose
these
piece.
out. That's the perfect
Hmm.
purpose piece, and then so you have from like they saying from 30 to 64 to be like doing living out your purpose.
Hmm.
And then they're saying like when you get 65, you should, it's called integrity versus despair, which
No
means you
despair.
look back and you're like, now you can see, were you well defined? Did you live out your purpose? Or now are you regretting the fact
Hmm.
that all these opportunities and chances came up and you didn't operate it
Yeah.
in them? And so I'm not saying that it's like too late at 65, but if you really or are, and you're saying like 75, so like at those ages you should be able to sit back and reflect and say, wow, I'm so grateful to God he let me get to this age of seeing how I contribute to the world and that I lived out my purpose.
Hmm.
And now I'm just basically just enjoying.
Yeah. So yeah, I will say because I plan to retire at 60 and not retire. I mean, I'm just gonna be doing more of that'll be probably when I'm speaking or and I think about going back to get my doctorate degree at maybe 60, because why not? I'll be able to pay for it cash. I mean, I'll be at a better
Right.
place, right? I think I'll be able to add in a different way. I don't want to do it in my 50s because right now I'm right in the middle of my purpose because that whole exploration piece for me happened in my 30s and 40s, right? A
Yeah,
self
that's what it
discovery,
said.
right? So
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You had to kind of like backtrack.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
catch up. I had to play
Yep.
catch up, right? And so
Yep.
it did happen within, I think, I would say catch up for me happened within about 8 years of me, the self discovery piece, right? The whole, me getting divorced then took me into self discovery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me wake up to see that, girl, who are you? Right. And so
Mm.
I got divorced at 38, 36, somewhere in there, 36, 38. And that's when I really just woke up and had to start, and I was in grad school, so it was all divine, right? That was all nobody but God, because all them papers I had to write was about me.
Mm.
So that's when I really started to learn who I was. And so now, you know this whole purpose piece may extend probably to 64. Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
may say I'll retire around that age, but I'll be doing more fulfilling things, including myself. Not that I'm not including myself now, but like going on journeys, different type of journeys, not self exploration, but I think just like kind of end of life journeys, right? Things that I know that I need to do before I leave.
Yeah. And that's my heart's desire to
Hmm.
get like 70 and look back on my life and just be so amazed with how it unfolded. Like,
Exactly.
just because, like, right now, It's not about, oh, I'm getting old, I'm getting, no. It's about like you are still very young,
Hmm.
and like this is the time where you are like tapping into it and like walking it out, because you have like time to like sit back and reflect on that. And I think the saddest thing, because it happens, I've seen it so many times. The saddest thing is for you to be like 70, 80, 90 years old in a nursing home
Yeah.
and like miserable.
Yep. So many people are, and that's, I mean, it could come from so many different things: shame, guilt, just feeling unfulfilled. And part of that is not really living your purpose, and they can have money or whatever, but it's not about that at that point. I can't buy time. I
Mm-hmm.
can't go back and now I want to do this or do that. Most of them don't have the movement, they don't have the mobility to be able to do that. So, it really is living every day. And for me, that's one reason why working out is so important,
Mm-hmm.
because I stay so like energized. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm 52 and I look and say, you said 75, you're going to check out of here, right? But for me, it's still a lot of time to get done what needs to be done.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. I feel like I want to live the best possible way, the best that I can while I'm alive, and I'm gonna do that.
And what you're doing now
Yeah,
is planting those seeds for that later. You see
they
what I'm
said what you do in your 50s
saying?
will show in your 60s, right? And what you
Mm-hmm.
do in each generation, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
where you are in your 30s, in your 40s, you're gonna see it. And as I
Mm-hmm.
look back, right, I look and I see like it's so true. The seeds that you planted, and people just think, oh, when I plant a seed, it's just gonna harvest right away. No,
Mm-mm.
no, no.
Mm-mm.
You're gonna look and you're gonna see. And sometimes you may not see it until the next generation, like your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or your
Mm-hmm.
kids' kids, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
um it's just being your best.
Because you're working for the future.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything you do is you should be pouring into you, your next generation. That's why they call it legacy. It's about,
Mm-hmm.
your like and that's what I'm saying. I want James and I to be able to look back and see our legacy, to see,
Yeah.
man, like we put in work, but like, we see it. And you might not, like you said, you might not see all that right now because you're working right now. You putting down the foundation. You like maybe tilling up roots and weeds and stuff right now. Like it's all that we
Oh, for
putting all
sure.
the work right now. Like you
Mm-hmm.
saying with the whole retreat, like this is all tilling right now and getting the ground
Exactly.
ready and all that. So, but in like 10, 15 years, you're gonna look back and be like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see it. And again, I just want to be able to look back on something and just smile. I don't want to look back on my life and be like, just because I've seen it. And you're not gonna, and that's what I'm realizing. You might not see it right now because it's not in your face, but how
Mm-hmm.
you living now, it's gonna catch up with you, and then you're gonna look back. And I just don't want to have that look on my face, like, man. So that means that I gotta grind now.
That's it. Yeah, come on. Yep. Grind for the future. Yep.
You grinding for the future, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever that looks like, you tap into it, you lock into it, and you do it. And that looks different for everybody. Like,
Right.
I don't even care. Like, both of us have our degrees in marriage and family counseling, but my path looks totally different than yours,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, I mean, because the calling is different for you versus me, right? But it's a calling nonetheless, right? So it's
And we're
like,
working together still.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking back to I got married at 28 first, right? And so I was looking back and I'm like, I don't have nothing from that. Nothing from that marriage. Yes, I do. Correction.
Your
I
children
have wisdom.
and a child.
And my children, yes. Yes. I didn't look at it like that, but yeah. So, but anything like tangible, meaning like, there's no finances left. I had no there I walked away with nothing from that financially.
But look at how far you've come.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Be-
like, it's kind of crazy because I'm like, it shows you fruit. So in one situation, there's no fruit there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in this situation, it's a lot of fruit on the tree.
And you
So
know what it showed?
what?
It showed that you didn't need anybody else to do it. Like you did that.
That yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it
Mm-hmm.
shows when two come together. And the key is coming together, right? Because you can be married and not come together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I was in my first marriage, married but single. So the difference is in this one, the whole touching and agreeing. That Myron Golden is something, right? Like he taught on something today. Jacob and Esau never looked at it like that. So my mind is changing on some things that I read scripturally, right? I'm not just reading it. Um, I'm stretching beyond just what I see. I'm. It's like I never the way he taught on that today. I never would have thought about that in my life. And that's what I'm asking God, like revelation, not just reading it and taking it for, oh, this is just what it means. No, no. What really are you saying?
I
Mhm,
totally anytime I read the Bible, or anytime I read anything, I wanna know like what is this really saying?
mhm,
I don't wanna like imagine or like think I know what it means. Like I wanna know. Like this is what this is saying. Because you whatever you hear, especially when you're learning it,
mhm,
you tap into that and it becomes a belief system. And
mhm,
then that belief system becomes an action.
mhm. Because
And
the action only happens when you believe.
right. And so if you don't believe properly, then you're
Mhm.
not acting properly.
That's
And
right.
instead of helping people, you're hurting people
Mhm,
based off of a belief. And
mhm,
because it came from the Bible, you think you all the way right.
mhm.
And I just, especially when it comes to the Bible or anything about God, I never want to get that wrong.
Do
I
you
just don't.
do you believe, or as Myron says, do you be lie? Because sometimes we be lying to ourselves about what we believe, right?
Hmm.
Do you believe that? So, like the interpretation God gave to Myron, that was for him to give to whoever got it. So, like if you read it, you could get a different interpretation, and it could be for your situation. What? How do you think that works?
So this is why you have to be prayed up about who you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a firm believer that if you have the gift of a preacher or a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
when God reveals things to you, it's not just for you. It's for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
So, but on the other side of that, like you're like me, how do I know that you've been gifted to be a preacher or a teacher and you're just not up there because your mama told you that that's what you was going to be, right? That's when prayer comes into place because you have to be very prayed up about where you're being led, what and asking God, is this where I need to be? And if it's not where I need to be, end it for me now. Because I don't when there are people who literally get messages. It's in the Bible how Moses stood up before all those people and spoke. And there are people literally ordained, but I think that it's way more people saying that they're ordained to do that than are really truly ordained to do it. Which means that
Especially
when God,
nowadays.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that God don't speak to people.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can speak to anybody that has an ear to hear him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not think that God speaks to everybody in the way that they need to come back and speak to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm very careful now about reading my Bible and then coming online and just being like, oh, this is what the Lord said to me. Because that's what's right. He said it to me.
Mm-hmm.
What is he saying to the masses though? Because I do have my devotions, but I think that my devotions are very much so for the masses. But does that mean I get up and I'm a preacher? No, I think I'm just a writer, and I've been ordained to write devotionals that read
Mm-hmm.
just more than me. But you have to know that within yourself, and then people have to pray and ask that, because you can be under some people that they just got their own uh
Agenda.
and ain't nothing to do with, like I said, I'm not saying that God has not spoke to them. What I'm saying is God has not spoke to them to speak to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be very careful about that, because I've just learned that, especially in my younger teachings, I've had to go back and redo a lot of that, because a lot of that was just very much so um uh personal
Mm-hmm.
personal revelations and personal truths, not what do they call it, congregational truths, or public truths.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe there's a difference, because God is going to check you about something that He not going to check me about. But sometimes because He checked you, now you feel like you need to check other people because it burned just that bad.
So maybe it's just giving them awareness.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Kaden is like that. She has a hitting coach. And I just told my mom this. I was like, he talked to her about like her parents and how she has really good parents and all this kind of stuff. And that's the word I used. I said it was an awareness. But does he talk to every kid like that? No.
Mm-hmm.
That was for him to talk to Kaden like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand God talks to us certain ways for
Mm-hmm.
our personal awareness. But because he be done got on, because sometimes the Holy Spirit can really tear you up. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about really make your bottom raw.
Mm-hmm.
And some people get a little resentful about that. And now the only thing that makes them feel better is to come and bring it out to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Because now if I'm sitting with my bottom raw, I want your bottom to be raw too.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So now they want to, they miserable. They want you to be miserable.
Yeah, that's why you got to know, that's one thing that I learned through Tony Talks last year, right? Like, I ain't called to be no preacher. I know that, right? Now, am I a teacher? I know I'm a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but
What are you supposed to
it
teach?
it is learning if he said it to me and me only. Is that a you? Am I talking directly to you? Just because I gave that to you doesn't mean that's the word for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's a big thing to learn how to discern what's what.
And you could ask yourself this question: is this feeding me, or is this growing me, or is this putting me in a place of stagnation? Am I feeling condemned, or am I feeling like condoned? Like I can't I'm like, am I convicted by it,
Hmm.
or am I feeling condemned? Meaning, am I feeling like, oh yeah, like that right there hurt, but like I'm also feeling enlightened to do better? Or is it, oh, that hurt and now I don't feel like I can do anything. I just feel locked down. I feel in prison. I think that's another thing you can ask yourself. Like, when people used to preach and they used to say certain stuff, they might be telling you the truth, but the way it made you feel about it, did it make you feel like, oh, I can move on from this and this is how I can? Or did it make you feel like, oh my God, like I'm just a sinner and I'm never going to get it right?
Yeah, I don't want to hear from nobody like that.
But for so many years, I think that was the approach. Like, oh God,
Oh,
like,
yeah, to make
you know,
you feel bad.
yeah.
In other words, if you feel bad, then you want to turn away from it. That don't even make sense to
No, but
me.
you don't. Like, you
No.
feel so guilty that you don't even want to look at it
Or
to turn away
feel,
from it.
yeah, yeah. It's not gonna make me look at it. It ain't
That's
gonna
what I'm
make me
saying.
deal with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No, but
Hmm.
they make you, and that's what I'm saying. That's that condemnation. That's that
Hmm.
making you feel like I'm bad and now I'm ashamed. bringing down
Mm-hmm.
shame. And that goes back to Genesis and how God went to them and talked to them. And they were ashamed because of what they did. But
Mm-hmm.
when God came to them, he removed that shame. And that's how, and he gave them a way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it should feel. We should feel ashamed from like being the conviction, but then we should also feel a sense of deliverance
Mm-hmm.
in the shame, not guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, we should feel guilty, not shameful. That's it.
Right. I was
But
gonna
you
say.
feel guilty
Mhm.
about it, like to where you want to like look at it and explore it, but you shouldn't feel shameful because that shameful is what makes you not even want to look at it.
But that goes back to me, like I love how God asked the question, right? Who told you that you were
Yeah,
naked? You know, it's the way you approach it. See, God knew how to approach it to where they didn't feel ashamed. They felt like they did something. Well,
the
maybe
guilt.
they were ashamed. Maybe they were ashamed because they felt like they were wrong because they tried to cover it up. Or could
That
that be
was
guilt?
their own personal shame, I think,
Right.
that they caught on
But it
themselves.
wasn't him
Hmm.
doing it because the
No,
way he came to them in a loving but so thoughtful way, right? And so that's just what I feel like the church has, not just the church, but people who are teaching God's message need to be cognizant of how you bring it, right? How you bring that word, because you shouldn't be trying to make a person feel um bad about themselves. That's not what God wanted for Adam and Eve. He wanted them to notice themselves. Notice that you moved away from me, you know? And you noticed clearly because you covered up. You tried to run and hide. You tried to, cover what I had uncovered. But
yeah.
it's a strategic way. And that's what I'm asking him. Help me to be a good questioner like that, you
That's
know.
coaching. He
Yeah.
coached them out of that. He got literally and he coached them through like you said, knowing how to ask the right question. First of all, he made them identify where they were in that moment. Like,
Hmm.
who, where are you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's identification of where I am in this moment.
Hmm.
And then it's who told you, meaning now your thoughts. What are your thoughts about this? Because
Hmm.
whatever your thoughts are is what got you where you are today. So
Hmm.
it's asking, okay, where are you? Because that's bringing awareness to you're not where you were before.
Hmm.
And then it's asking you now, how did you get there?
Hmm.
Who
Hmm.
told you? Like and it's crazy that is how it all works. You get misaligned usually by something that someone or something has said, whether
Yep.
it's through a book or through somebody you heard, and you look up and you're not where you're supposed to be, and now God's asking you these questions. So then you go and now you're coaching somebody because now you're making them aware, but you're making them think.
Hmm.
So now I'm not blaming myself for this because something transpired mentally that got me from over here to over there.
Hmm.
And then they started saying the woman that you did it for, the snake, they started talking to him about it
Then they start blaming. Hmm.
because it was an awareness though to the fact of, oh yeah, like this is why I got where I got. Like, the serpent came to Eve and it was very truthful what they were saying. Eve went to Adam, like that's what
Hmm.
happened, and that's what got them out of alignment.
No accountability. Everybody
Just
putting it off on somebody else. Nope, she did it. Nope. Well, he came to me, right? And so, yeah.
and it brings that awareness, and then it makes you accept, because then God was like, well, at the end of the day, this is what he says to him, at the end of the day, you had a choice.
Hmm.
You had a choice. Like, yes, I gave you that, and yes, this snake was in here, but you still had a choice on what no matter, and that just lets you know like how powerful the mind can still be. No matter what you're presented with, you still have a choice in which direction you go.
Hmm.
And so then that brings accountability to you no matter what. Like, it's, what do I need now? Okay, so what do I need to do now?
Hmm.
But that wasn't how he went to them. Why did you do this? He made them come right back around to it.
Yeah. He made them speak it out of their mouths and actually. Actually, they did end up taking accountability at the end of the
at
day.
the end, which was
Mm-hmm.
his whole goal.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, we all want people, especially when they hurt us,
Mm-hmm.
to take accountability. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we want. Because at the end of the day, they hurt God by
Mm-hmm.
doing that, you know. But he didn't go to them with this manipulation trip, like either taking things away from them or like making them feel bad about what they did. He literally was like, okay, you have moved from all the way over here to over there. So where are you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me just talk to you about that. And then I'll ask you, how do you think you got there?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, you know what? You right, God. You right. I did all that because of my own thought process and me not being able to have control over my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So now I feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm. And leaving room for, other untruths to come into yourself.
That is what it's about. And that boils back down to what we said from the very beginning. Your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
what you think, what you believe, and then how
Mm-hmm.
you act that out has everything to do whether you go right or left.
Mm-hmm.
Everything to do with it. And because we're human, sometimes guess what? We're gonna go left.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But we end
But
up
are you I'm sorry.
I said we end up right.
That's what I was about. Are you, but we don't end up right unless we are mature and strong enough to be able to admit what got us wrong in the first place
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and take your part in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you could say all day, this person did it, and this person did it, and that person did it, but you did the ultimate when you made the choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, this is another thing that I'm learning. Don't take on somebody else's wrong as your own. We all do enough wrong to where I don't need to take on somebody else's wrong.
Give me an example of that.
So, like my dad right now, he's not in my life, right? It's not on me to figure out why he's not in my life.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't take on no matter, well, you made it hard for me to call you and whatever he'll come up with. I don't know.
That's
Like,
his own.
it's his own thing.
Yeah.
And people will do that. They will try to blame you and make you feel like you're responsible for why they are where they are in life. And no, wherever they are, they're there and they have to try to figure out why they're there. That's not on you to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
That,
I just saw something on Instagram, like with a lot of parents, how um when you have or your parents weren't there, or they may not have poured into you like you thought they should. You can't parent them or make them be a certain way.
that's on
That
them.
is their own stuff that they have to deal with. But you also have to deal with your own, whatever came from that, because maybe you're acting in the same way that they did, right? But you're talking about them. You may be saying, my parents did such and such, such and such. But when you look at it, you could be operating in the same way.
And only like yes, you are responsible for you. And like if you don't have a relationship with your parents and you can look back and like that's identifying like where are we don't have the best relationship, and you look back and you see that it's because of some things that there's some choices that they made. It's not on you to repair that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a good relationship with your parent, then and it's because of some choices that they made, you have to learn to let your parents live in that.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it was saying. It's not on you, and you shouldn't feel guilty or like it's your thing to go and fix. No.
No,
Mm-mm.
because they should be the ones that feel that
Mm-hmm.
and want to do the self discovery and the self exploration to get to a better place. But I think a lot of times people never do because you have these people that try to take on that burden.
And what
I
they
can't
said.
take on that burden anymore. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. And what they said at the end of that one Instagram thing was, you just have to walk in. You got to be the healthiest you can be. right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you learn from it and you continue to live life. You set an example.
And it's the hardest thing. I think that's the hardest thing. And I think that that's why a lot of times, especially in adult years, that children do try to have that, because it seems so unnatural not to have a relationship with the people that brought you into this world.
I'm living it, right? Like it's weird to see other people um, have these relationships, and even me stand here um, with my mother-in-law, right? It's like I don't desire true relationship with her because I don't know what that's like,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's awkward to me. It's like I don't even know how that works, you know.
Right.
Um, but it's just weird to see because her kids just love her. They call on girl. They call a million times a day. They're over here, and that's just it's like weird to me, right? I'm like, okay. I mean, not knocking it because that's what works for y'all. I just don't have that.
Yeah. And she cultivated that. And now, like we were talking about, she's seeing the fruits of her operating in the purpose of being a mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to force that. That
Mm-hmm.
happens naturally. Like if you do what you're supposed to do when it's time for you to do it, your children don't even question whether
Mm-hmm.
they can call you at 2 a.m. or whatever. Come to
Mm-hmm.
that. You don't have to like force yourself off on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are readily like calling you, want to be in your presence, all these kind of things, but you can't force that. If you didn't cultivate it, like right now with me and Katie, I'm cultivating. Hey, how you doing? I'm going in the room. I'm checking on her, like, because I want her to do it to me when she get older. Like I don't want her to leave and be like, because it's unnatural. If you don't show them, it's unnatural to them to know how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's that cultivation piece. Like we talked about this through the whole thing, right? Like that's the place where we're at. And you're always going or you always should be cultivating something.
Mm-hmm.
You should be planting seeds and maybe not planting seeds yet because you got to till that land,
You
before
got to
you
uproot some things.
exactly. So that
Mm-hmm.
whole process should be happening continually in our journey of life, just on different things, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
children one day, maybe relationship with this person. It may be just your life, but you're always or always should be cultivating something. You should be tilling the ground. Okay, I got to get the weeds out. Now the plant's growing and the weeds trying to grow in with the plants, right? It's just a whole process that should continually happen.
Always, always. It's a journey. Like we keep saying, and on that journey, just like it, we have different seasons. There are different seasons on the journey where you have
Hmm.
to button down the hatches because it's storming outside. Or
Hmm.
like you're saying, you got beautiful flowers, but you have weeds in them. So now you got to go through and till those, get those weeds out.
Hmm.
Or you just might just be enjoying a season to where, it's sunny and it's like you're on the beach, but you have to know when it's time to do what. And at no point, I will say this, are we to just like start all the way over again. Like what I'm trying to say is like give up. Like don't give up. Learn
Hmm.
that certain, like you may have to like um replant some things, but don't get, what I'm trying to say is don't give up
Oh, on the journey,
on
period.
the
Right.
journey.
Because I was
Don't
thinking
give up.
some plants may have to be uprooted totally.
No, no, no. I mean, like, don't give
Give
up on it.
up,
Don't
period. Yeah,
give up
yeah,
and
yeah.
be like, oh, I'm just throwing in everything. Like,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that.
Because it
Because if you
all
keep
is
doing
useful.
it, yeah. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. If you keep giving up, you'll never see what can come from it.
And so many people give up,
Give up.
before you're able to see the actual beauty of the flower. But the process is really the beauty.
But it's so hard.
I know, right? But when you can look back and see this is what came from that. This is the tip of the iceberg, as they say. But if you can look back over it and really just see the process of it and appreciate the process, That's really the beauty, that you made it through. You were able to get
Oh,
to, you know, yeah, that's how I think really about my, huh, the process of my first marriage through divorce.
yes.
Like, I made it through that. So many people don't make it through, or so many people stay in it, right? They don't prune.
You got to prune. If you,
They,
that's
yeah,
either you, yes,
they
yeah,
don't prune. They just
yes.
let it stay like that because, hey, you get comfortable. It's like, this is what I know, even though you know it's not healthy for you.
And that hurts. Like the pruning hurts. You talked about this at one point in one of your messages about that cutting.
Baby,
It hurts.
baby, that was a hurting thing. But now I'm seeing more and more. So this is part of another thing that I think avenue that I have to deal with, um, probably under the therapeutic piece, but like going back to get those people or helping those people who went through what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
Mm.
I mean, I was married to a narcissist, period, like hands down. And the things you go through, right, dealing with that. And that's not being, I don't want to be a victim. What I'm saying is that I contributed because I allowed it.
You're a victor, and now you're going back and helping other victims become victorious.
Exactly. But so that's what I got up before God right now, right? Like, I don't know for sure, but I think that that's part of what he's telling me. And
I think.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in that time, I didn't have anybody to go to, right? And so a lot of people who are in those situations, they isolate. That's what I did. Kept my mouth closed, right? Number one, that's what the narcissist wants, is for you to stay isolated because they don't want to be seen, right? They don't want to, for nobody to see who they
That
really
side
are.
of them. Yep.
Uh-huh. So I stayed isolated, right? But that's not the best thing. Because if it's not, I told my couple the other day, if it's dismissed, you miss it, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
dismiss it, you miss it. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times
Mm.
in those situations you do. Dismiss it
Mm.
because the narcissist wants you to
They
dismiss.
want you to dismiss it because they don't
Yeah.
want you to bring it up because
It,
now they got to
it,
become aware. They do
it's
not. That's one thing about narcissists. They never want to be made aware of
at
anything.
all. And not gonna take no accountability for it. It's gonna be your fault.
What?
Yeah.
Even if you do bring it up to them, then
It still
it's like
turns to
a
you.
whole.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my latest thing. I believe that, and I'm still just got my ear to him, to hear, like, I don't even know what I would do, what he would want me to do with that, how I would do it, but I do know it's a need for it because a lot of people don't talk about it. They talk about narcissism, right? But to really, how do you get free from that? How do you
I
get free from that space?
I listen. You know how I was talking to you about like how everything narrowed down to me, and now I'm like, oh, I really want to work with children in counseling.
Hmm.
I think that for you, you might be getting ready to narrow yourself down to divorcees who definitely dealt with narcissistic behavior. Because it's a
Hmm.
whole audience for that.
And not just divorcees, those who didn't marry, because they ain't married them, but they with them.
Or they married to them now. They married to
They
them
so
right.
they could be married or not married.
So you I think you're going to specialize in narcissistic behavior. Period. Because it went and especially I'm telling you because if they got a narcissistic mate, it's probably going back to somebody that was narcissistic in their childhood.
Yeah, and I talked about this on one of my Tony talks. In some kind of way, I was narcissistic because
You
that
were
I
taught.
was attracted. I was attracted to that, and the toxicity. You know, it was an attraction, right? Like attracts like. So
Mm-hmm.
when I think back, why would I have stayed if I didn't have some of that trait in me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just exploring that right now and talking to God. I really, I really feel like that was my, was it Moses? Yeah, Moses going through the, when the waters went, that was my going through to the other side. And I made it to the other side. Many people don't make it to the other side.
They don't even start the journey
Yeah.
because that part, because of the manipulation and the mind games that narcissists play with you, you're always second guessing yourself and
Always.
doubting whether or not you are the one in the wrong, and who would ever
Always.
believe me, because they're always, oh, narcissists are always very charming,
Yes.
very much so, like caring and loving on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you say anything to anybody about them, then it's like something's wrong with you. And then they know, especially when it's almost like they know when you or them are going through something, they go and get everybody on their side. So
How you
then
know this?
we, trust me.
It's true. That's so true.
Yes. And so
Everybody
then you
aligns with
scared.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you don't want to at any moment say anything because they already got an army
Yeah.
stacked
Yeah.
against you.
Yep. And the mouthpiece of a narcissist, right? They it's like they have studied to know. I mean, just the things God has been showing me is like there's so many different levels to it, right? To narcissism, right? So, and then that rolls into the spiritual piece, right? Because it is a spiritual, there's spirits attached to that. Manipulation, deception, uh,
Gaslighting.
yes, so many different things, so many different spirits attached to that. But some, the now, baby, I'm telling you, the one I was married to, he probably about the best. He probably about the best narcissist in the world. So then I think that that's why God would use me to do it because I learned from the best.
I'm up there with you.
Yeah.
Not spousal, but yeah, definitely. I get it. And when it's close like that, it's totally difficult to detach from it because it's almost the only thing you know. And that's why you're saying like that you have to be very careful because it is a spirit. And before you detach from it, you'll become a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is like the last thing you need, because then you never get free from it.
Mm-hmm.
It gets even harder. And yeah, I mean, so I applaud you from getting out of that, because I truly believe that everybody talks about all these different like abusive type, physical abuse, sexual abuse. I truly believe that detaching yourself from a narcissistic relationship is one of the hardest things you will ever do.
Yeah. And then what if it is abusive? Now, in my case, while I was in, it wasn't physically.
It usually is not.
Hmm.
And if
Let me
it
say this.
is, it may be it's not as
There
bad
were
as
little
mental.
sprinkles.
Yes, yes.
Yes. But that was not
Mentally,
the main. Yeah. Oh, that's the that
that's it.
and that right there is the damage, right?
Just
Like,
told you, we've been talking about it. Your thoughts,
yeah. Yep. That is the
they
damage.
direct your actions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you'd be depressed and like all over the place. Not even
Ooh.
yourself. This is the thing. You lose yourself in a narcissistic relationship.
What's worse is because I never knew who I was. So
This is
then
what
I
I'm
was
telling you.
molded into this and morphed into something that I never was, but became something because the narcissist created this role.
Oh. And now you walking in that, and you think it's you, because you have no idea what you is even, what you even are, girl.
Right. And that's why I'm saying to be able to, when God, He's been really dealing with me on this and talking to me about that, I said, yeah, really, that was a Moses experience because I never, while I was in it, and I used to tell him, I would never leave you. I used to say that. I'll never leave you.
But look at the children of Israel. They was completely content until God, it's like God stands up and is like, no more.
That's true. That's exactly what it was because it wasn't me. I promise you, like, it was not me. I went through so many different things. and they just got worse every time. They just got worse. And still just faithful, right? Just, I don't even call that faithful, because that wasn't no faith. Yeah, I guess it was faith. I believed in him, right? And to be able to break free from that, I agree 100% with you that that is the hardest relationship, or hardest, more so than abuse, because I was in one of those too, and I broke free from that one in a year. So,
Because
uh,
everything is identifiable. You see
hmm
bruises. You
hmm
see when it's like that.
it's
I'm telling you, second
open.
guessing yourself all the time. Like, oh
The
no,
thing
man.
about the narcissist, the cystic one, is that hiddenness, and that's the enemy.
Yes, it
Hmm
is very deceptive and
hmm
cunning and just
hmm
so. I'm telling you, and then I'm telling you, when you do start getting your eyes on it, you still second guess it because of the way they show up.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Loving and caring and all
Yep.
these things, and that's what draws you right back into it and makes you second guess your what. Oh, I'm crazy, like what? No, this no. Oh girl, it's
Or I want to take my life, because I sure went. I sure was there.
that's I don't even know how to get out of this in order to just get out of this. I just need to get out.
Exactly.
I don't
I
know no
know I
other way.
need to get out, but I don't know what else to do.
I don't
Yeah.
know no other way.
Confused.
And I'm telling you, I'm not like taking lightly, because some people are really getting dead in with these hands. So I'm not taking lightly people that's out here getting beat. Like I'm not, and I'm not trying. But I'm telling you, when you start getting beat upside your head, in your
Mm,
head,
man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
because you
That's,
can't even think for yourself.
you're not. You're not. Mm-mm.
I
Yeah.
do believe. I think that's something that you and I both need to talk about further in detail. Um,
So I think so, but I have to get, because for me it's super close, because now it's affecting my son.
mm,
So,
is that his dad?
mhm,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's why I asked a question about generational curses the other day, was because it is literally. So, and when I've been reading the Bible, I see all these different things, that I see the generations, how this happened to, I can't recall like now, but I only thought that like maybe with David and then his son. I remember that. But it's been a lot of generational cycles that I see that have been happening, right? And so that's exactly what's happening. You see it just repeat, right? And so, because it's so close to my heart, I am praying to God that it's going to have to be Him to tell me how I deal with this, right? Or how I present it. I want to protect my son, because he needs to know. He needs to know what he's doing, right? He needs to know that this is not right. But also, it's so crazy. I don't even know how to say it, right? Um, But so it needs to be revealed to him, but more so than him, it needs to help others. So that's why
Well, yeah.
when I talk about it, I want to talk from a perspective of helping others. And so, will he be outed? Yeah, yeah, he will, right? And so be it, if that's what it takes.
I mean, like, well, that's just even bold that you would say that, because again, that's the first step in making it known that particular person has that particular problem, because that's the first thing they don't want. They don't want people to know. And because of their pride, I've done so much study on this. A lot of it is wrapped up in pride.
Hmm
And they don't want so they have this big image that they've created of themselves, and like they don't want that to be tarnished.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what happened at the end of my marriage. So that's how it became. The I think the last time my then husband knew that I was really done, that's when he put hands on me. And I mean, he beat me almost to a pulp, like with boots on,
Yeah,
kicking and all kind of stuff
I
because
believe
he
it.
was outed. His pride was he could no longer hide behind this image.
The image, which is not even his image,
It
but
wasn't.
it
I
starts
created
from
it.
low self-esteem. But it starts from low self-esteem,
Hmm.
and then their self-esteem is so low that they create a version of
An
themselves.
alternative, right? Almost like a Sasha Fierce, right? It you look like, well, I think the crazy thing is I think that he thinks that people see him this way, but people see him in a whole different light than what he sees himself. Did that make sense? You
But
understand?
they, yeah, oh, I get you.
Yeah,
But they thrive off of because they create the image.
yeah,
It's like the spinach. Like Popeye was always Popeyes, but he didn't become Popeye like the until he ate the spinach. And so they create these images, and then they thrive off of people
yeah.
who they can attract themselves to,
And
that
be
will
that in
continue
front
to,
of, yep,
yes,
who will tolerate that and
yes,
not call them out
yes.
on their stuff. Yeah, because you only certain people, so you can manipulate so far, right? Some people gonna be like, man, you on some
No,
bullshit, right? That don't even
immediately.
make it right. So those ain't my people. But you see, it's like they can see in the spirit realm, like,
It's
sir, they can
demonic. It's
see.
very demonic.
Exactly. And they know who to attract and who to go after. It's just really weird. It's really weird, but it's so strong. Like, it's a strong spirit.
It's almost like a cult because then they know who to go around
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make sure that even if you think it's wrong, nobody else thinks that but you.
Hmm.
So then you're just stuck. So now what else am I left to do but to just stick with this?
Hmm. Yeah. And then they can't see themselves because they created this alter alter ego, right? So they don't see their true selves, and they never. I'm glad we're talking about this because it's really, showing some different things that I never even thought of. Why can't a narcissist not see themselves? Because they've created a whole nother
Bird?
person
Yeah.
that's not them. So it's
Mhm.
almost like two entities,
It's like a split personality.
but
So
they never see that real, the true
no,
them.
no. Oh
Yeah.
no. And then if you ever try to talk or speak to that true version of them, that's when that other version of them attacks you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they hate themselves just that much. It really does boil down to self hate.
Mm. Hmm.
They and the fact of low self esteem and self
Yeah.
hate, and they don't ever want to see themselves because something probably happened to them a while ago,
A fact.
and yeah, and they just never was able to embrace. Because my counselor talk, and I know you talk to your people. My counselor talks to me about this all the time about addressing that person on the inside of you because it's
Hmm.
promoting self-love
Hmm.
because you will become narcissistic if you cannot love your true self
Well, yeah, that's my foundation, right? It's the whole thing, identity. Who are you, right?
and learn to
Not
love
who,
you.
right? Not who you have created, and they created that because of the trauma.
Hmm.
And it's just mind blowing how that how demonic spirits grow. They actually, get bigger over time. Like it, I'm just being really aware through just this little bit, these couple days that God has dropped this on me. I'm like, they grow. Cause I'm telling you, that ex of mine, baby, it's like humongous. That spirit is humongous. And my son, right? Like if he doesn't catch it, same thing will happen.
What did you remember when I told you in the Bible? It's a whole people don't put it together.
Hmm.
Like Satan started out as a snake in the garden
Yeah.
in Genesis. By the
Yeah.
time you get to Revelation, he's a whole dragon.
Right.
It's
Right.
the same thing. It's just over time, people feeding into him, people allowing him to take rulership
Mm.
over their lives. He grows every single time somebody gives them his soul.
Mm.
Until at the end, he's a whole dragon.
Yeah, man. A big dragon too.
A dragon. If
Yeah.
people really read Revelation, and there's no talk about snake in there anymore. It's all dragon, 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 dragon. Well, that is the snake that started in the garden that now has become a dragon.
I never looked at it like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly what I've been shown, right? That's how big it's gotten. It started from trauma as a snake, right? Like, yeah. And then, I mean, it's all of the characteristics of the snake, right?
And then think about it. You the snake was manageable. Are we afraid of snakes? Yes. But are you more afraid of a snake or are you more afraid of a dragon? What
Well,
is
I
more
ain't never seen no dragon, so I
but
only can
but
imagine
you
what.
know it's big, like from what they show you on TV.
Yeah.
That's way less manageable than a snake.
Yeah. In fact, you need several tons of people to slay a dragon. Yeah. Then a snake, yeah. Well, anyway, snakes is a whole nother. We talk about that at another time. But yeah, I don't want to see no snake, and I could probably kill a snake. You
But a
know.
dragon
Yeah.
with fire, I mean,
Mhm.
look at the similarities between a snake and a dragon. You know, it's very similar.
But
Like
different, but
from
totally different.
but what I'm trying to say is like the slithering tongue. And so what I'm trying to say is you can totally see how a snake can morph into a dragon over time.
Yeah. But look at all that power that is underneath that formed as it got. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing. It's like I was in this, and I can only imagine now what his woman is dealing with, my ex. Because if it has grown, and it has over
Oh
time,
yeah.
I can only imagine if I dealt with what I dealt with.
So let me ask you this. You said that it was only by God's grace that you were made aware that that's what you were in and that you needed to go on a journey, basically.
Wait, what
Because
now?
I'm looking at, okay, so if we look at this as a Moses Egypt situation, right? Egypt never stopped being Egypt. The
Hmm.
Israelites stopped being Israelites. I mean, like under the captivity of Egypt is what I'm trying to say. They got from under that, which means you got from under being held captive by him.
Hmm.
But Egypt remained Egypt, a place of bondage and captivity. It was so much so that Pharaoh chased them out to
Hmm.
get them back. Like he was that caught up in it.
Yeah.
So my thing is there ever any hope for the person that is the Egypt? Do they ever become free themselves? And
Well,
how did that happen?
my hope, because my hope is for my son to get
That's
free,
what
right?
yeah.
So, is there any hope? That's why I asked the whole question about spiritual warfare, right? Like, is there hope? I believe that with God, all things are possible, right? But then, so I feel like there is hope, but that person has to want it. At some point, and you know what? I think that's where rock bottom comes in, right? I think like you hit a space where um only God, that only God can do this thing.
Oh,
And I think that, I mean, that's scary, right? But I honestly think that that's what it takes for a narcissist. I don't know many narcissists that aren't narcissists that become, even if they become, I don't even know if they really become,
preachers.
I don't know if
It,
they really become saved, to be honest, because they will use that word to manipulate.
that's what I'm trying to say.
So I don't know. Is there hope? I think we always have hope. I think there's always hope, right? Um, but yeah, it takes some drastic measures.
Because they can shapeshift. This is so good. They can like they can, like we're saying, like they can be this one day and then this another day, and just because now they're dressed this way, now you think they're better, but they're really not.
Yeah, come on. Come on. It's the morphing, right? That it can they can morph into so many different things. And to be honest, I know that I had some of that in me because in school, like I used to wear wigs all the time, right? I would be a different person. Literally, like it was not what is it called now? So it's not split personality. It is
No, I know what you're talking about. It's something personality something.
right. Yeah. Multiple personality
No,
disorder.
it's something
It changed from
personality.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The diagnosis in the book is different.
They changed it like
Not,
3 times or
yeah,
something. But
yeah. I know what you're talking. It's something personality though. I know that's in there.
literally, that's what I used to be. Literally. And I told my cohort, and they was like, no, but they didn't know the inner me, right? They would only see the outer me, and they loved me. So they didn't want to accept
That's
that,
what it's
right?
about. The loving.
Yeah.
Everybody, you flower bomb people, and they fall. Girl,
Yeah. So what you're saying is we do need to talk about it, but I have to get clearance of how I can talk about it. That's what I'm saying, you know, because I
no,
mean,
I don't hear. I'm not talking about on
no,
here.
no, not on here.
Yeah,
No.
no, 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 no.
Mm, mm,
We
mm.
have to have a whole nother discussion about this
Yeah,
privately because
because
this
I
is
really didn't
yeah,
even want to put this on here, but
yeah.
since it's here, guess what? It's out there, right? And I like the fact that it's out there because guess what? Now, devil, what you gonna do? What can you do with it? Because it's out here.
Girl, I think that this is part of the healing
Say more.
because, like you're saying, you were bold enough to say it. Like
Oh,
how many people are bold enough to even say it? That's what
oh,
I'm saying. Like it's not,
yesterday I
and
couldn't say
so
it.
bold. Yeah, he's
Yesterday I
so
couldn't say
bold.
it. I talked to myself yesterday and said I wasn't bringing this up, and it came out, right? And so, hey, it is what it is, right? Like, look, I know what I'm called to do. And I know, and yesterday I had to keep saying, greater is he that is in you, right? Because this takes me back. It makes me think back, right? It makes me
You're
reflect.
triggered.
Hmm,
You're triggered.
yeah, triggered, triggered, but know that I have to help. I feel, I don't know why Harriet Tubman came up to me, but I feel like I have to go get people.
Well, you know what? You know how damaging this is. Like this is life altering stuff you're talking about right now. Like
Mhm.
I'm literally saying is and I think that that is why it is. We really need to do some research because even the way like we're saying that Satan showed up in the garden, he showed up as a narcissist in the garden, and so like what happened with them? It truly got them off of their purpose. Like it changed the whole trajectory
Mm,
of humanity.
come on. They didn't even, right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole thing. That's what it was all about to get them off of their purpose. And why am I the PPP? It all makes sense.
Because it messes with your identity. It makes you question your identity, and then if you don't know who you are, then you don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
And you're not doing it. You're
You're
doing
not.
something totally different than what you have been called to do.
And why did he even show up like that in the first place? Because he had lost all power and authority.
So to take other people down with him, right? If I ain't gonna walk in my purpose, you ain't either. If you not gonna have eternal life, if I'm not gonna have eternal life,
You're
you ain't
not either.
either. I'm gonna
Because
do all
that's the
in my power.
goal.
Hmm.
At the end, yes, we have a purpose to fulfill, but the goal is always eternal life with God, which Satan will never have.
Exactly, and he knows that. So the kill, steal, and destroy, right? If I can kill you, which when I think back when I wanted to take my life, right, I would never have been presented this opportunity to help somebody else.
Oh, girl, this is deep. We
Ain't
gonna
it?
We own something
How
right
did
now.
we? I ain't even want to go here.
Yeah, it's deep, but like, yeah, we could have a whole podcast just about this.
Oh, absolutely. Well, maybe that can be part of the direction that we go in,
Yeah,
because it's
because
not by chance that we both experienced it.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, and it's like I don't think that people go throughout life. I think it's way more people that have gone through it than we think.
That's why I'm saying, because they keep it to themselves. That is the power that the narcissist has when the person doesn't disclose.
And but it's all identity. It's man, it's got to be more than just two people, because it's attached to your identity and it's attached to your purpose. And God's reasoning is for us to have purpose. Satan's reason is for us not to have purpose, and
So
he does manipulation and narcissistic behaviors.
so remember when we was talking about a lot of people aren't walking in it? Could it be that they have been exposed to that and they're not, because maybe this situation, they have been exposed to a narcissist and their identities have been, maybe they don't know their identities because of that.
Totally, totally.
So it's way more than what we even imagine.
Because it's about what and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, people, when you're not operating in your purpose, a lot of it goes to exposure. What have you been exposed to? If you're not operating in your purpose, don't think it's because of you. More than likely, you've been exposed to something, because we come into this world
Mm,
purposeful.
mhm.
We come into this world full of purpose and full of destiny.
And what stops that? Trauma.
But the trauma is somehow connected and attached to some type of narcissistic behavior. It shows you in the Bible, God, the devil could have came to them any type of way. He came to them in the form of narcissistic, deceptive, manipulative behavior. And it got them off of track of their purpose and their destiny. The same thing happens to us.
Hmm.
And then you have to try your hardest. And that can happen to you as a child. That can happen to you as an adult. That can happen to you. But I do believe that everybody at some point in their life is exposed to some type of narcissistic behavior.
Hmm. I think it happens as a child. The gateway is as a child. Because for me, when I think back now, so like I say, I don't know what my mom should have been diagnosed with. But even now, as she isolates herself from pretty much everybody in the family, right? She isolates herself from protection from whatever trauma, right? She's not ready to deal with it. But how selfish is that? That you only think about yourself and not anybody else. Your trauma, right? You don't know what trauma that's caused for your children. But because you don't want to deal with it, you keep that to yourself. That's narcissistic.
Yeah.
Only thinking about
You
yourself. Right. So
selfish.
that's why I say, to me, the narcissist is exposed in some kind of way as a child. As a child.
Yeah. And when you and then especially if it forms as a child, then you don't even stand a chance. So then you just continue to attach yourself to those type of people and that type of behavior until you finally break free from it. And God knows how long that takes.
Well, in
What,
my case, it took me it took me
38 years.
well, I will say, I think I truly got free when I got saved at 20. I got saved like 26. That was the open door for me to see myself, start seeing myself, right? But total freedom happened at
when you
about
got that
30,
divorce.
36, 38.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you got
Yeah.
that divorce, because that's
Right.
when it was like, I think that you thought you didn't see the big picture. You didn't see that I'm not just getting saved from one thing, like, but this is my entire life. Like, I'm
Mhm.
showing up this way.
Yeah.
And then it took you, that was like, you started breaking free from it slowly. But the total deliverance
Yeah.
took 38 years.
And shoot, probably more than 38 years. It was after the divorce, because then it took 6 years before I went through my, like, really started healing, and really started processing. So probably 44 years. Yeah.
It took 44 years for you to even be, to show up. And now I want you to look at who you was at 28, 38, and now at 52. The difference. Because now you're you.
Yeah. I'm authentically me. This is crazy because I just talked to Cheryl yesterday, and she said,
Girl,
I
I see her this week.
oh, okay. Yeah, she said, I see a difference, right? Like, cause sometimes like, I know I have changed. I know I have changed, but to
Right.
actually hear that from somebody who grew up in the household with me, saw different things that I went through, and saw how I acted, how I really was, to now, and to hear that, that was like, just like confirmation, right? Like, I know I've been changed, right? The song, I know I've been changed. And
But it's not instantaneous though.
no. And that's the thing, like, that's what she was saying. Like, I've seen the progression. I've seen it for real, right? Like, up close and personal. I've seen it. And so, like, I know God wants to do something with that. Because if he'll do it for me, he'll do it for others. There's others that he wants to deliver.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we're on to something here for sure. Because this right here is bigger than just being exposed to someone with a mental health issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
This
deeper
is
than that.
mental health times 100.
So, and then it also is spiritual because it's messing with your destiny.
Yeah.
It crosses both, and I think that that's the difference between like depression and anxiety, those type. Because yeah, like depression and have you not wanting to get up, anxiety have you like having racing thoughts, but this right here literally robs you of your destiny.
Robs you of everything,
Yeah,
because you don't even know who you are. So it robs you of that, first of all, to even know that,
this is who you supposed. You're not even showing up the way that you're supposed to really show up,
girl, like, yeah, if
and you don't even know that you're not showing up.
you don't know. So here's the thing. I think back, and I got glimpses of, I would get glimpses of, I guess, who I would be, maybe when we would go through our hard times. And for the most part, the whole 11 years I was married was hard times. Let me say that. I was with
Yeah,
him 18 years, and then total 11, but that last year was
was
the
it
divorce
right?
period, right? The last year was, we weren't together but going through the divorce.
Right.
But I got glimpses in there of who I maybe was supposed to be, right? Like, I knew I wasn't supposed to be subservient, or I wasn't um supposed to live this way that he wanted me to live, because I'm a free spirit, and I felt like I was a caged bird, right? So I knew that that didn't fit me. I just didn't know how to come
But
out of
did.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what fit me, right? I
Yep.
knew that didn't. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. But you don't. It seems so far away.
yeah. I
It's
was like,
almost like a just a fantasy or something.
mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't even. It's there, but it doesn't even seem real. It doesn't even seem like this is really no, like when he shows you, he's showing you an image of what
Mhm.
he saw in you, but to you it's just looking like, oh, this is like watching a TV show that's not real.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was obtainable. Let me say that because
Mm-hmm.
I was so stuck. It's like Get Out. I was in the sunken place. And
Oh
that's
wow.
where people are in the sunken place when you're with a narcissist. You cannot, he was trying to, he had his arms waving, trying to get out. He was in the sunken place. That's where I was. You can get a glimpse of something different, but to act it out, that's why I know it was nobody but the power of God.
It's like you're alive but you're dead.
That part. Yep.
It's like you seeing everything happen around you, but you can't do anything.
Nothing. Nothing. You're
It's
stuck.
paralysis.
Paralysis. Yeah. Yeah.
But just think about it. That's the effect that it has on the victim. What impact is it having on the one that's actually doing it, the perpetrator?
I don't know. I've never I've
You know
never heard nobody study that either, right? Like
what?
the actual perpetrator. That would be good to hear from. Well, I don't know, because could we believe it?
Is it? There we go. Like, it's
I don't know.
is it a fully delivered narcissist that is saying, you know what, I used to be a narcissist, but I'm out of it, and this is what all I know is how to be the one that it was done to, and how I
Right.
was. I also want to hear from a narcissist that can declare I was a narcissist, and I know that it's possible. Like I really want to hear that because it I think that they have an even harder track.
Uh yeah. Yeah, I think so.
But and this is what I'm gonna tell you. At one point, let me say this, because you said it. At one point, because I'm like, how do you even become a narcissist? At one point, a victim will become a narcissist if you don't realize it in time.
Like attracts like. You keep hanging around. Oh, what is the word? What was the word? I saw this man say it today. It anyway, it's like basically if you keep on being around this, what are you going to become? Because that's what you begin to believe.
That's what you begin to believe. Here we go. You believe it, and now you act it out.
That part. So maybe I am an ex narcissist that got delivered.
And you get deliverance through realizing the victim side of it, not the perpetrator. Like because you were a narcissist, but in order to become a narcissist, you have to be a victim of narcissistic behavior. So then you
Mhm.
don't take on the role of the perpetrator when you
Right.
realize,
Victimizing other people.
yeah, you take on, because think about how humble it becomes for a narcissist to step down into the victim role of understanding that they were hurt, and the healing of and it become you are no longer a narcissist when you can heal the inner version of you.
Right. Yeah, because no, I'm truly walking in me now, like who I am.
Right. So like we're saying, we probably were narcissists that took the approach of figuring out, unbeknownst to us, of now I'm a victim of it, and this hurts and it doesn't feel good, and now what do I need to do to not so because then you're not going to be, once you realize that you don't want that done to you, then you struggle with doing it to other people too,
Oh, for
because now the
sure.
awareness has set in. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I used to manipulate people. I used to could do it very well. And I have to really speak to myself sometimes because I know that that could be a thing that I could pull up very easily,
Hmm.
And so I have to really be conscious of, is this a manipulation tactic, right? Why are you doing this thing?
Crying. I've seen crying. I've seen shut down. I've seen, you just like trying to tell somebody that what they saying to you is not real or not right. Like it comes in all shapes and forms.
I would say for me, uh, it used to be in my knowingness, like knowing what I know could manipulate a person, right? Because they believe me because
Of who you
just
are.
the authority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a real thing that I have to make sure, being a therapist, that it's not from me. And that's why I have to pray before I meet with people, that it's not me trying to manipulate the situation or manipulate them, right?
Be
Because
who
it's
you want
not
them to be.
my will, but your
Mm-hmm.
will be done. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I may think that this is the best way for them, I don't know that.
Because how did it make you feel when somebody thought they knew what was best for you?
Hmm.
And then force you into walking it out
Hmm. Yeah.
and made you feel like if you didn't listen or if you didn't do it, that something was wrong with you, not them, because they want what's best for you.
Hmm. When
When really they
really
just want
it's
what's
what's
best for
best
them.
for them. Come on. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, now that I'm talking about it, I really still have to make sure that, you know, and maybe I need to look back to what ways narcissism played in my life. How was I narcissistic? I know the manipulation piece, but what other spirits were attached to that?
Hmm. And then don't get yourself involved with one now, because I think that if you get involved, like even no matter how much aware, because you have it in you, you can fall back into that trap.
Baby, easy,
Because it's a
easy.
game. It becomes
Yeah.
this.
And I think, yeah, definitely could fall into the trap. But I think that how the serpent would grow would be I could become the perpetrator. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an ego thing. And when you get with somebody that's like that, then and you want to fight it, and especially when you don't want to be a victim anymore, it becomes like this power struggle now.
Hmm. And that's one reason why I think that. So when I first got out of school, I said I wanted to become Dr. Tony, right? It was a me thing. It was my ego, right? And I'm learning that I probably couldn't handle that right now. That's why I said in my 60s, when I get all of this, so this had to happen, right? This has to be something that God works out, because I don't want to fall prey to something that I'm trying to be helpful in and then become, you know, a perpetrator of it.
Mm,
So
mm,
it
mm.
makes sense why, if I do it, right, it will be all for his glory. It won't be about me. But if I was to do it, I don't know about now, but I definitely know when I first got out of school, me being Dr. Tony would have been an all arrogant thing. It would have been all me, 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 me.
Just for the name and the title, because it's
Just for
pride.
the,
It's pride.
yep, yep,
It's pride.
yep.
Narcissism is wrapped up in pride.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Because you will be quick to take on that title, and now you're not operating in your purpose anymore. Now, like you said, you're Dr. Tony. What is that even?
I got a client. Oh my God. We just hit on something. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You don't know who you are
And
because
it's
you're
easy to hide
hiding
behind the
behind these
title.
titles. Hmm.
It's easy to hide behind the title
Hmm.
because title comes with power and names
People
and
look up to you
yeah,
and they want
yeah.
to be with you. So they say,
And now
right?
you take advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah. Look at us, 2 hours and 3 minutes. My God.
That was good though.
Yeah.
We needed to talk about that because you never would have known that, I mean, it's just us discovering more things about ourselves. That is why we were brought together.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have to unravel this a little bit more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we're
For
gonna have to
sure.
unravel this one a little bit more.
I think this is a yeah, clearly. We yes.
This is one of them 3-4 hour conversations that we have
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, yeah, y'all really got a earful today. Whoever listened to this all the way through.
God
Hey,
bless. But you
yeah,
gonna get knowledge and
that's right.
hopefully enlightenment.
That's right. All right. We back on next week. I'm not sure what day. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. But I will talk to you soon, friend.
All right, friend.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.